Welcome to Living Legacy, with Andrew sharing heartfelt tributes to remarkable individuals whose influence continues to live on. This channel celebrates unforgettable names from film, music, sports, and culture, highlighting the passion, achievements, and inspiration they gave the world. Here, every story is a reminder that true greatness never fades, and every legacy continues to speak through time. Actor Louis Gossett Jr. was born 90 years ago this week. He was the first African-American to win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for An Officer and a Gentleman, and won an Emmy Award for his role in the landmark miniseries Roots. He died in 2024 at the age of 87. Comedian Jimmy Cricket died August 3, 2026, after a short illness at the age of 80. Born James Mulgrew in Northern Ireland, he was known for his clean comedy, in which he often read funny letters from his mammy. Cricket is being remembered for his catchphrase, "And there's more." It was also the title of his TV show in the 80s. Music producer David Z. died August 2nd, Music, 2026, at a hospital in Burbank, California. He died of complications from an infection at the age of 78. Born David Rivkin, he was an architect of the Minneapolis sound, especially through his work with Prince. He engineered Purple Rain and other early albums, and he, music produced and played guitar on the classic track Kiss. David Z. is also being remembered as a member of Lips Incorporated, known for their disco hit Funky Town, and for producing the Fine Young Cannibals song, She Drives Me Crazy. The film world quietly said goodbye to Matt Clark, who passed away at his home in Austin. He was 89, and his death came after complications from surgery. A gentle, closing chapter to a long, steady life. Clark wasn't always in the spotlight, but his presence was unforgettable. He became part of cinematic history through classic westerns like Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, the life and times of Judge Roy Bean, and the outlaw Jose Wales, bringing grit and authenticity to every role. Many also remember him warmly as Chester the bartender in Back to the Future Part 3. Before Hollywood, he served his country as a U.S. Army veteran, an experience that shaped the quiet strength he carried on and off screen. Matt Clark's legacy lives, not in fame alone, but in the honest, human characters he gave life to. Bluegrass music has lost one of its quiet pillars. Ronnie Bowman passed away in Nashville, Tennessee, following a motorcycle accident. He was 64 years old, remembered for a voice that carried both strength and tenderness across generations. Throughout the 1990s, he stood at the heart of the Lonesome River Band, singing lead vocals and playing bass with unmistakable presence. Beyond the band, Bowman's solo work left a lasting mark on bluegrass music. His IBMA award-winning songs, including Cold Virginia Night and Three Rusty Nails, continue to be celebrated for their honesty and emotional depth. Fans and fellow musicians remember him not only as a performer, but as a storyteller whose music felt deeply human. His legacy continues to echo through the bluegrass community he helped shape with dedication and heart. He leaves behind music that continues to inspire new generations of bluegrass listeners and artists alike. Author Tracy Kadur died at his daughter's home in Boston after a battle with lung cancer. He was 80. He is remembered for winning the Pulitzer Prize in 1982 for his nonfiction book, The Soul of a New Machine. He also wrote acclaimed works including Mountains Beyond Mountains and Among School Children, which earned widespread respect. A Vietnam War veteran, he served as a military intelligence officer and received the Bronze Star for his service. His writing captured the human side of innovation, education, and global health, leaving a lasting legacy in narrative nonfiction. He is especially known for deeply reported storytelling that brought complex systems and real people into clear, emotional focus. His work continues to influence journalists and readers worldwide, reminding us how careful observation and empathy can reveal truth in ordinary lives and extraordinary achievements alike, for generations to come and beyond today. In November 2012, after 3 decades of marriage and 3 children raised together, Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman separated quietly. There was no explosive announcement, no public war, and no attempt to turn private pain into entertainment. There was simply silence. For a man whose career had been built on noise, laughter, outrageous characters, and unforgettable performances, that silence carried a different kind of weight. But the separation was not the beginning of Danny's struggle. It was simply the moment the public began looking closely enough to notice that even a man who seemed indestructible could carry wounds no audience ever saw. Behind the laughter was someone who had spent his entire life being told that he was too short, too unconventional, too strange, and too physically different to become a conventional Hollywood star. Yet those same qualities eventually became the foundation of his identity. The boy nobody expected to succeed became an actor, director, producer, and filmmaker whose influence reached far beyond the roles he played. His journey was never simply about fame. It was about turning rejection into determination, and turning every limitation others saw into something he could control. To understand Danny DeVito, however, you have to go back before Hollywood knew his name, to a working-class family in New Jersey where the future was anything but obvious. The boy Daniel Michael DeVito Jr. was born on November 17, 1944, in Neptune Township, New Jersey, the youngest of 3 children in an Italian-American working-class family. His father, Daniel Sr., ran a small pool hall and a dry cleaning business, while his mother, Julia, held the family together with a combination of warmth, discipline, and determination. They were not wealthy, connected, or powerful. They were people who worked for what they had and expected their children to understand the value of persistence. Danny grew up knowing he was different. Eventually standing only 4 feet 10 inches tall, he entered a world that often judged people before allowing them to speak. At school, his size and appearance made him an easy target. He was not the athlete, the popular student, or the conventional young man teachers imagined would someday command attention. Humor became one of his earliest defenses. If people were going to stare, he could make them laugh. If they wanted to mock him, he could turn the attention back on them. Beneath the jokes was a growing fascination with people, their voices, gestures, contradictions, weaknesses, and hidden motivations. Danny watched people constantly. He studied how they behaved when they were angry, embarrassed, frightened, or trying to impress someone. Without realizing it, he was already preparing for the profession that would eventually save him from the limitations others had placed around him. The discovery. The turning point came almost accidentally. Danny's sister Angela was studying cosmetology, and while looking for a nearby school, she discovered the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City. Danny was only 17 and initially followed along without some grand artistic plan. But when he entered the academy and watched actors rehearse, something inside him changed. For perhaps the first time, he encountered a world where being different could actually be useful. He applied and was accepted. Acting gave him something traditional education never had, a language for everything he had been observing in people for years. Yet training did not suddenly make Hollywood welcoming. After graduation, Danny faced the same problem in a more sophisticated form. He was too short for conventional leading roles, visually unusual by Hollywood standards, and unwilling to pretend otherwise. Auditions ended with polite rejection. Roles went to people who fit the expected image. Danny survived through small theatrical jobs and off-Broadway productions, gradually developing the skills that would later make him impossible to overlook. His years in New York were not glamorous. They were years of uncertainty, small stages, limited money, and constant competition. But they also gave him something invaluable: experience. He learned that an actor did not need to look like everyone else to command a room. He needed to understand exactly who he was and make the audience unable to look away. The break. During those early theater years, Danny met Michael Douglas, a friendship that would become one of the most important professional relationships of his career. Their backgrounds were radically different, but their ambitions connected them. In 1971, Danny was cast as Martini in the off-Broadway production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The production was associated with Michael Douglas's father, Kirk Douglas, and gave Danny an opportunity to work inside a serious theatrical production with people operating at the highest level. When the film adaptation arrived in 1975, Danny reprised the role alongside Jack Nicholson. It was not yet the breakthrough that would make him famous, but it placed him inside Hollywood's machinery and allowed him to observe how major films were made. Then, in 1978, everything changed. Taxi premiered on ABC, introducing audiences to Louis De Palma, the abrasive, scheming dispatcher who seemed determined to make everyone around him miserable. Danny transformed what could have been a supporting comic character into something unforgettable. Louis was petty, manipulative, rude, and often morally questionable, yet Danny gave him such precision and energy that audiences could not ignore him. The role earned Danny an Emmy and a Golden Globe and established him as one of television's most distinctive performers. The industry that had once looked at his height now had to look at his talent. Danny had not become conventional. he had become impossible to dismiss. Decline. The success of Taxi opened doors, but Danny did not simply walk through them. He pushed them wider. During the 1980s, his career expanded rapidly across film, comedy, and directing. Terms of endearment placed him alongside major Hollywood stars. Romancing the Stone demonstrated that his unusual screen presence could function within a major adventure comedy. Ruthless People showed audiences that he could anchor a film through sheer personality and timing. Then came Throw Mama from the Train in 1987, which Danny directed while also starring. Directing changed his relationship with filmmaking. Acting gave him control over one character. Directing allowed him to shape an entire world. He could decide how scenes moved, how characters were framed, where comedy landed, and what emotional truth existed beneath the absurdity. Behind the camera, his physical appearance became almost irrelevant. A director's authority came from vision, not height. Danny had spent his entire life being judged by what people saw first. Now he was working in a position where what mattered was what he could create. By the end of the decade, he was no longer merely the unusual character actor who had somehow found success. He was a recognizable Hollywood force, sought by major filmmakers and capable of moving between television, comedy, drama, directing, and producing without asking permission. The cost success, however, has a price that awards cannot measure. Danny was simultaneously acting, directing, producing, traveling, promoting films, managing business relationships, and maintaining a public identity that audiences expected to remain energetic and funny. The man who appeared effortless on screen was often carrying enormous professional pressure behind the scenes. Fame does not eliminate insecurity. Sometimes it magnifies it. Danny had spent decades proving people wrong, and that determination could become exhausting when every new project carried the expectation that he had to prove himself again. His personal life was also becoming more complicated. Danny and Rhea Perlman had built a family while navigating two demanding careers, raising 3 children and remaining deeply connected through decades of shared experiences. Their relationship would eventually face strains that became increasingly difficult to keep private. At the same time, concerns surrounding Danny's drinking occasionally became visible in public. One of the most widely discussed moments came in 2006, when he appeared intoxicated at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The incident generated widespread attention because it contradicted the carefully controlled image of the beloved Hollywood entertainer. But the deeper story was not a single embarrassing night. It was the reality that even people who appear enormously successful can struggle with habits, pressure, and personal consequences away from the camera. Danny had spent his life converting pain into comedy. Yet not every problem can be transformed by making people laugh. The family. For much of Danny DeVito's adult life, Rhea Perlman was not simply his wife but his closest creative and personal partner. They met in 1971, married in 1982, and raised 3 children together. Their relationship survived decades in an industry famous for destroying relationships through distance, schedules, temptation, and relentless publicity. They also worked together professionally, including on Matilda, where their shared history added another layer to the film's family dynamics. Their marriage was complicated, as long relationships often are, and eventually the strain became impossible to ignore. In November 2012, they separated after 30 years of marriage. The absence of public drama made the announcement more striking. There was no spectacle, only 2 people acknowledging that something in their relationship had changed. They later reconciled, separated again, and continued to describe their connection in ways that did not fit neatly into the traditional Hollywood narrative of divorce. Whatever happened privately, their shared history remained enormous. They had built a family, raised children, worked together, and witnessed each other's careers evolve from uncertain beginnings into extraordinary success. Their relationship demonstrated something important about Danny's life. Not every meaningful bond can be reduced to whether 2 people remain married. Some relationships survive because of shared history, family, affection, and a connection that continues even after the original shape of the relationship has changed. The reinvention Danny never allowed one identity to become permanent. He could be a television star, then a film actor, then a director, then a producer, then return to television without treating any transition as a retreat. His career repeatedly demonstrated that longevity comes not from repeating the same success but from remaining useful to different generations. He worked with established stars while also embracing younger performers and newer forms of storytelling. His voice became instantly recognizable, his physical presence remained unique, and his comic timing stayed remarkably sharp. Yet what made him durable was not nostalgia, it was adaptability. Danny understood that Hollywood changes constantly. Styles change, audiences change, platforms change. What once required a network now exists through streaming. What once made a performer famous can become irrelevant within a few years. Danny survived because he understood performance at its most basic level. Tell the truth of the character, commit completely, and never apologize for being unusual. His body, once treated as a limitation, became one of his greatest artistic assets. His voice, once simply loud, became unmistakable. His eccentricity, once something that separated him from conventional leading men, became exactly what audiences remembered. Danny DeVito did not defeat Hollywood by becoming what Hollywood expected. He survived by forcing Hollywood to expand its definition of what a leading talent could look like. The legacy. By the time Danny reached his late 70s, his career had become something far larger than a collection of famous roles. He had become part of the cultural memory of multiple generations. One generation knew him as Louis De Palma, another remembered the Penguin, others knew him as Mr. Wormwood, the producer behind Pulp Fiction, the director of Matilda, or the unmistakable voice and presence appearing in contemporary productions. His longevity is remarkable because it was never built around a single image. Danny created a career broad enough to survive every phase of Hollywood. More importantly, his story became an argument against the idea that appearance determines destiny. He was told, implicitly and explicitly, that his body did not fit the traditional image of a Hollywood star. Instead of allowing that judgment to define him, he built a career where his difference became an advantage. That does not mean rejection stopped hurting. It means Danny learned how to use rejection as information rather than a final verdict. Every closed door forced him toward another skill. Acting led to directing. Directing led to producing. Producing gave him greater control. Control allowed him to help other unconventional stories reach audiences. His greatest achievement may therefore not be any single performance or film. It may be the fact that he helped demonstrate that there is no single shape a Hollywood legend has to take. The man. And that brings the story back to The Silence of 2012. The separation attracted attention because audiences were accustomed to seeing Danny DeVito as larger than life. The endlessly energetic performer who could turn almost any situation into comedy. But the real lesson of his life is that the loudest people can still carry quiet pain. Danny spent decades turning insecurity into performance, rejection into ambition, and difference into identity. He built a family, a production company, a directing career, and a body of work that few performers could match. Yet none of those accomplishments could make him immune to the ordinary human problems that affect everyone. Relationships become complicated, careers become exhausting, personal habits can become difficult. Time changes people. Success cannot prevent any of that. What it can do is give someone the freedom to decide what matters most when the applause fades. Danny DeVito's story is therefore not simply about a small man who conquered Hollywood. It is about someone who was repeatedly told that he was not enough, and eventually realized that he did not need to become enough for other people. He needed to become unmistakably himself. That decision transformed the boy who once stood out for all the wrong reasons into one of America's most recognizable entertainers. What remains? At 79, Danny DeVito's greatest accomplishment is not that he became famous. Fame can disappear. It is not even that he created iconic characters, because characters eventually belong to the audiences who remember them. His greatest accomplishment is that he built a life from circumstances that once seemed designed to limit him. The boy from New Jersey who was considered too short became an Emmy-winning television performer. The actor who struggled to fit conventional casting expectations became a director and producer capable of influencing the entire industry. The man whose appearance once made him an easy target became someone whose silhouette alone could make audiences smile. And the person who spent years turning pain into laughter eventually created a legacy that proved difference can be a source of power rather than shame. His story does not end with a perfect Hollywood resolution. There is no neat conclusion where every wound disappears and every difficult chapter is explained. Real lives do not work that way. What remains is more meaningful. A body of work, a family history, friendships, failures, triumphs, and decades of refusing to disappear. Danny DeVito was never the man Hollywood expected to become a star. He became something far more interesting. He became a star on his own terms, and in doing so, he made the world a little larger for everyone who had ever been told they did not belong.